Welcome to your lesson, Reading Poetry Using TP CASTT Analysis and the Poison Tree by William Blake. Before we begin, please turn to page 92 in your SpringBoard binders and take out the TP CASTT handouts you received today in class. During the video, if you need more time to record your responses on your handout, just pause the video and then press play when you're ready to keep going. Before we begin, look at the box on page 92, which is entitled About the Author. This frame has a picture of William Blake. Blake lived between 1757 and 1827, and he was an artist as well as a poet. He didn't readily believe the beliefs that were held by the Anglican Church in England, so he wrote poetry that reflected his view that people and the world possessed both good and evil and innocence and experience at the same time. This poem, called The Poison Tree, came from his collection of poems entitled Songs of Experience. This frame is a picture of the original engraving that Blake made to accompany his poem in this publication. This is a picture of a squirrel on top of William Blake's head. Now let's look at what each letter of TP CASTT stands for on your handout. T is for title. You're going to fill out this section before we ever read the poem. P stands for paraphrase. So after reading the poem, you're going to paraphrase what you read. C is for connotation. A is for the attitude of the speaker and the author in the poem. S represents shifts in the poem's tone, setting, and voice. And then the next T will give you a chance to reflect on the title after you have read the poem. The final T is a space for you to write a complete sentence that gives the theme of the poem. Whoa, this is a very large and angry rodent attacking a city. Before we read the poem, take this time to fill in the sections on your handout for the poem's title and author, and then record your prediction on the meaning of the poem's title. I'll give you a few moments to do this. Okay, here's how I would complete the top of the handout. First, I would write the title, A Poison Tree, starting each word with a capital letter, and I would put the title in quotation marks. That's how we punctuate the title of a poem. Remember, the prediction is what you think the title means. My prediction of the title would go something like this. The tree will contain something that kills. The title reminds me of a poison apple or the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. I think that when the fruit of this tree is eaten, somebody is going to die in the poem. All right, let's read A Poison Tree on page 92 together now. I was angry with my friend. I told my wrath did end. I was angry with my foe. I told it not, my wrath did grow. And I watered it in fears, night and morning with my tears. And I sunned it with smiles, and with soft, deceitful wiles. And it grew both day and night, till it bore an apple bright. And my foe beheld it shine, and he knew that it was mine. And into my garden stole, when the night had veiled the pole. In the morning, glad I see my foe outstretched beneath the tree. Uh-oh, Herman here did not like the message of that poem. All right, now that we've read the poem, take this time on your handout to paraphrase what you think the poem means and write down the connotations or figurative meanings of any key words or images that you find in the poem. I'll give you time to do that right now. Okay, now let's see what I put down for my paraphrase of the poem, and I'll tell you some of the connotations. My paraphrase says, the poem starts by relating how the speaker deals with his anger. When he's angry with a friend, he confronts his friend, and his anger goes away. When he's angry with his enemy, he keeps his anger to himself, and it grows. His anger at his enemy makes him afraid, and so he cries in fear and anger. But during the day, he acts like everything is fine, killing his enemy with kindness. He's so kind to his enemy that his foe is fooled. On the inside, the speaker's rage continues to grow. So the speaker creates an apple, and his enemy plots to steal the apple. When the enemy sneaks into his garden to steal the apple, he's killed by some kind of trap the speaker has laid for him, or the poison that grew in this fruit of the speaker's anger. The speaker is pleased to find that his enemy is dead under his tree in the morning. When I was looking at connotations or figurative meaning for the keywords, I thought that since apples often represent original sin, the beautiful apple represented the growth of the sin of anger in the speaker's life. The author uses a metaphor of weather to describe how the fear, anger, and deceit makes his anger and revenge grow. He watered the fruit in fears and with his tears, for example. Let's record the attitude and shift portions together. I believe that the attitude of the speaker is that he's hurt, angry, and vengeful. The author doesn't seem to make any excuses for the speaker's attitude or anger, nor does he pass judgment on it. The author presents an idea that the enemy may have gotten what he deserved. There does seem to be a shift in the setting. We don't know where the poem begins, but the setting shifts so that at the end it's in the garden with the apple tree that has grown. The speaker's anger seems like it has taken him back to maybe the Garden of Eden, where the original fall took place after eating an apple. Blake's tone doesn't shift as he's telling the story. I think that emphasizes that he's not judging the speaker for his anger and the ultimate murder he commits. He begins a lot of lines with "and," so he builds tension until the climax when the enemy tries to steal the apple. All right, and for the last title and theme, write down your ideas while I go over what I have written. I believe that the title probably means that a poison tree grew out of the speaker's anger and hatred for his enemy, and it eventually produced fruit that killed the enemy. I think that a lesson could be that anger that isn't dealt with is like a poison that can kill. So if I was going to write the theme in one sentence, I would write, the theme of this poem is that not dealing honestly with anger will cause it to grow until it finally erupts in some harmful way. You write down your answers now. Aw, look how happy these puppies are now that we finished our first TP CASTT analysis. And now, let's hear a song about the poison tree written and performed by our own Mr. Neal. Yay! Okay.
Angry with my friend, told my wrath back to him. I was angry with my foe, I told him not